Hello, my name is Melinda Huntley, and I am the Tourism Program Director for the OSU Sea Grant Extension Program. Today, we are going to talk about becoming a resource for your legislators. What exactly are we going to discuss? Well, we're going to talk about how the tourism industry has a role and a responsibility for making sure that policymakers are informed. In other words, the tourism industry has information that can really help make decisions. We're going to talk about ways to communicate with policymakers, and we're also going to give you some resources on where to go for more information and for assistance. One of my favorite quotes is by Gandhi, and he says, "You must be the change you wish to see in the world." And I think this really sums up why communicating to your policymakers is very important. Only you know how the business is doing in your local communities. Only you know how certain issues may impact your business. So this information is very important to communicate with policymakers. We're going to go over some very general guidelines about working with your legislators, and we'll go over these rather quickly. This is only about a 5-minute program. We have a full 30-minute program that goes into great detail. The first guideline is be factual. Tell the truth. If you don't know the answer that a policymaker asks you, then tell them you don't know and find out the answer and get back to them. Don't forget about the legislator staff members. These folks are extremely important. Many times staff members are the ones who schedule appointments and often provide some advisory information. So make sure you get to know the staff members in your legislator's office as much as you do the legislator himself or herself. Do your homework. Know about the issues that you're going to be discussing. And the state tourism agencies are here to help you if you do need some help learning more about issues. Start early. Never underestimate the fact that it sometimes takes a lot longer to get an appointment scheduled or to get information than you might anticipate. So make sure you start early, very early in the process. Keep it short and simple. Know what you're talking about. Keep the information very brief. In fact, if you can go and present your issue in 10 minutes or less, that's great. 5 minutes is even better. Work at the local level. Legislators want to hear from folks from home. They would much rather hear from you, someone from their own district, than perhaps a statewide lobbyist. So if there is an issue that you want to discuss, take that issue and relate it to what's happening in your own hometown or in your own local business, and then discuss it, because that's going to make the greatest impact. Make friends where and when you can. Basically what this means is that we'd all like to think we can turn a legislator into agreeing with everything we say. That doesn't always happen. It's okay. Show respect. If you have presented an issue, the legislator is not agreeing with you, continue to ask questions. Find out why. Understand why he or she is making the decision they are. And respect that, because you know what, the next issue that comes down the pike may be a very different situation. So it's very important that you don't burn bridges, that you understand that people are all different and have different opinions. What are some tips for communicating? Well, one of the best ways in reaching out to a legislator for the very first time is to send a letter of introduction and then ask for an appointment. Be concise and well organized. State your point. Know what you're talking about. In fact, if you can bring a slip of paper or some talking points with you into a meeting, do so. That makes the most sense. Discuss only one issue at a time. Don't go in with a whole laundry list of issues that are of concern to you. Take one at a time so you really have an opportunity to discuss an issue more thoroughly. Be brief. Sometimes I'll even practice in front of a mirror. Can I say what I want to say in 5 minutes? That is the most important thing, because sometimes you simply may only have 5 minutes to meet with a legislator. Don't use industry jargon. A lot of us know OTA, OHLA, TIA, but If you start to throw some of these jargon terms, industry jargon, into your conversation with legislators, they're only going to become confused. Think globally, but communicate locally. I've already talked about this a little bit, but it's so important that I put it in twice. Make sure you bring a statewide or national issue to home. And make sure you send thank you notes, not only to your legislator, but also to any staff members who might have been helpful. What are some other ideas? These are some things you might consider when reaching out to policymakers. If it's a statewide policymaker, consider scheduling a breakfast on Friday morning. This is a great casual time. Most of the time they're back in the district. You can have a lot of time to meet with them. Make sure you add elected officials to your media and VIP mailing list. Sometimes we forget about doing this, but this is a great way to make sure you're communicating. Share reports and provide interpretation of the findings at the local level. For instance, if there is a statewide economic impact study, you would want to take that report and then kind of say what this means on a local level. This is a great opportunity for reminding legislators about some of the studies that are occurring and how it relates to businesses at home. Consider joining the Ohio Tourism Leadership Academy. This provides not only hands-on training for legislative advocacy, but the program also covers many issues surrounding the tourism industry in Ohio. And you can learn more about that through the Ohio Travel Association. Attend the Tourism Industry Legislative Days. These are a great opportunity for going out and meeting with legislators with some other folks who've perhaps done it before. And so it's a great opportunity to kind of have a mentor go along with you. Create photo opportunities for your legislators. They love to have their pictures taken, particularly when it's going to be included in a newsletter. So look for photo opportunities. Maybe invite legislators to write articles for your local newsletter. This is a list of some of the primary state tourism associations who could be of extreme assistance to you as you embark on communicating with your legislators. Do not hesitate to contact any of these associations because they are more than happy to help you. There is another great resource that has just appeared called ohiotourismworks.org. This website is constructed for the tourism industry, and it has information related to primarily state tourism funding. So if you want to be kept up to date on what's happening, visit Ohio Tourism Works. Make sure you get onto their mailing list, and you will be kept informed. Another valuable resource for learning how to become a resource and communicate with your legislators is a guidebook that's available as a download from ohiotravel.org. This is the Ohio Travel Association, and it is a great handbook with very practical advice on letter writing, should you email, should you fax, includes a lot of information. One of my very favorite quotes is by Malcolm Forbes, and it says, "Diamonds are nothing more than chunks of coal that's stuck to their jobs." The reason this is one of my favorite quotes is because it pretty much says what legislative advocacy is all about, and that is persistence. It takes time. Make sure you start to communicate with your legislator far before you actually need a favor from them. So remember, it takes time. Like any relationship, it's based on communication and trust and being able to communicate regularly. Thank you for joining me. I invite you to visit the Ohio Tourism Toolbox to download a longer version of this topic. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to email me at huntley@coastalohio.com. Thank you for joining me.